Well, for this upgrade, my Rustler is getting a little bit spoiled with this upgrade. It's the INTEGY aluminum front bulkhead. Now, as you can see here, it's hard to see with the camera because it's not a very high quality camera, but it's a very high gloss finish. And unfortunately, this blue doesn't match the rest of the aluminum on here very well, but oh well, it'll still look great. But to get this installed, first what we need to do is take off the two front tires and the front bumper. The tires have just one 4mm nut that just unscrews. That'll take the front tire off, and the bumper has two screws that hold it on down there. Next step to remove the old bulkhead is to take out these 4 screws as well as these two 3mm nuts. 3mm nuts are removed, so now the links are off and the 4 screws are removed off the top plate. This will come off now just by sliding it off like that, and you have to unplug the servo wire from the receiver. And now we can scoot this out of the way. So now that we can see the bulkhead a little bit better, we're going to have to take off the front A-arms, which is simple. You just have to remove those 2 screws right here, and also we're going to remove the rest of the front assembly, and that just gets removed by those 2 screws there and there. I forgot to mention that to take off the 2 screws that take off the front shock tower, you have to remove 3 screws under here, those 3 right there, and that will remove the whole front assembly. And then we can take out those 2 screws, which removes the front shock tower from the bulkhead. Alright, now you can see the bulkhead is right here and off the car. Now that we have those 3 screws removed from the chassis, I removed those 2 screws and this came off. So now we can throw this to the side, get the new bulkhead out. Now to get this on here, I am not going to be able to use these screws on here. The reason why is because these threads on here, they're not the right threads. You can't see it, but they're not the right threads. To go in here, you need a finer thread, and the rest of the screws should work perfectly. Alright, so I found some screws that will work for here. I'm going to be using these right here, as you can see. It has a finer thread than the other ones, and now since these screws are made out of metal and all the other ones that are going to be going in here are made of metal, you need to use thread locker. You're going to use the blue thread locker because if you use the red one is for heavy duty stuff, which means it's going to be extra hard to remove. The blue stuff is just strong enough to keep the screws in without backing out. So whenever you're screwing in these into metal, you always use some thread locker. Those screws are now installed. Now as you can see, the bulkhead is now on the front shock tower. Next up, what we have to do is attach the A-arms, then we can actually start attaching it to the car. Now, to install to the car, what we're going to have to do is, as you can see here, there's 3 holes, and those each get screwed in. They line up with these 3 holes on the chassis and get screwed in like that. Okay, the front assembly is all to get put back together and installed back on the car. Now we can take the top plate here and slide this in. You're going to make sure that the links are facing out each opposite way, and they're facing out away from the servo and everything else. Okay, so we're going to especially watch the wire. What I do is I take the wire, make it flat like that, and I just tuck it back in that little groove right there, and that'll keep it safe from when you screw this on, it won't sandwich it together and possibly break the cord. So this slides on there like that. Keep that wire where it's supposed to be, and line up the holes where there's actually little grooves at the bottom of the chassis, and they line up with the belt crank system just like that. And now we can start attaching everything, which includes the 3mm nuts, these 4 screws, and then plug the servo back into the receiver. Okay, got the top plate, the servo installed, and these 2 screws put back on. We're going to go ahead and install the front bumper and then get the front wheels installed. Well, this upgrade is now complete. The INTEGY front bulkhead is now installed and looking good. Can't see it very well from the bottom, but from here it looks pretty good. It doesn't match very well with the A-arms, unfortunately, as you can see, but it still looks better than the stock one, and it should be way stronger. Well guys, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I'll see you next time.